What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, today's first Entitled Parent story is one of the most shocking I've ever read. As we all know, it's now been well over a year since the COVID pandemic started. We've been locked inside for over a year. Millions of people have died. Yet this entitled dad thought it'd be a good idea, thought it would be okay to invite OP into his house when he had the coronavirus. Parents insist I tutor their child in person, knowingly expose me to COVID. I am a tutor. Now, most of my work has remained virtual, even as the pandemic lifts, for the sake of clients' convenience. However, some parents prefer to return to in-person. Once I was fully vaccinated, I'm quite a bit older, so I was towards the front of the line, I was perfectly happy to return to in-person sessions with those who preferred them. I work with one family who can be a bit prickly regarding public health measures. They wouldn't have their son do virtual sessions with me, certain he wasn't learning anything, and pressured me quite hard, but unsuccessfully, to return to in-person before a vaccine was available. They're otherwise fine though. Although, to be fair, their son wouldn't have needed tutoring at all had his parents not rammed him into a gifted program he really isn't suited for. But anyways, the first few sessions back were all fine and good. But then one day, I went in and noticed the father of the family had a pretty severe cough. I asked if all was well, and he insisted it was fine and I should come in. He even tried to shake my hand with his cough, despite all we now know. Well, whatever. I was in a separate room with the son, so I figured it was fine enough. I wouldn't be there all too long. I opened a window. So the kid and I were working away, but I kept hearing this guy really going at it coughing, and I was pretty uncomfortable. I offer virtual sessions for precisely this reason, and I even specifically have clients sign saying they will reschedule if they or their child are exhibiting signs of illness. I had that before the pandemic. When my student mentioned his dad had returned from a trip to see a big game about 2 weeks ago, I was done. I excused myself early and made up some bogus excuse about a burst pipe at home. I didn't want to have the confrontation about the real reason in front of the students. I headed back and planned to schedule a call with the parents, since a matter as sensitive as do this again and our professional relationship is over didn't seem appropriate just for email. The call went about how you'd expect. They were all, "You want to live your life in fear? Go ahead, but we're not paying for the session you walked out on," and so forth. About a week and a half after that initial encounter, a health department worker contacted me to inform me I had been exposed to COVID-19. They couldn't tell me who, but I'm absolutely sure it was this guy. The worst part is to trigger a contact trace in our state, you have to have tested positive. So he knew he had it and exposed me and chose not to call, leaving who knows how many days for me to infect my loved ones and other clients while he just sat on his butt. Thankfully, because I'm fully vaccinated, I seem to have been spared. If he had not felt entitled to in-person sessions while sick, I wouldn't have had the tremendous scare, but I'm just grateful I've not caught it. It's been a week now and so far so good. Though props to my health department, they follow up like clockwork. I terminated our business relationship in writing, and their response was, "You're discriminating against us for our beliefs? What? Our son doesn't deserve an education as much as the scientists? We'll find a better teacher than you, for less money," and so forth. Much of the email was not spelled or formatted correctly, so that should tell you something. Stay safe out there, people. Get vaccinated. You never know who you're working with. I mean, seriously, it's beyond belief, this guy. Speechless, absolutely speechless. You and me, we both know, right, how serious this pandemic is, how many millions of people now have died, how much anxiety and stress and, illness it causes amongst people. It's been the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. Yet this guy just doesn't care that he's got it, doesn't care that he's inviting you, OP, into his home, inside. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I don't think I've ever come across somebody as ridiculous as this. I mean, seriously, what had happened if this guy had given it to you? Say you hadn't been fortunate enough to get both vaccines yet. He'd given it to you, you'd passed it on to your elderly parents or whatever, and, you know, that could have literally been tragic. It could have been, you know, fatal. It's absolutely mental. I genuinely believe there should be some sort of criminal charge. I mean, in England, I think that the problem is that he's inviting you into his home, so I'm not sure what you could really do about that. But knowing that you have COVID, or really suspecting that you do, at least having symptoms, and still mingling with other people, inviting them into your home, that should be illegal, because that ultimately, as I said, could end up costing people lives. Guys, I might as well give you a little update on my COVID situation as well. A lot of you have been asking about it in the comments. Thank you for looking out for me. I do appreciate it. I'm pretty much all good now. My dad as well, fortunately, seems to be all good. A little bit of fatigue, but you know, that's kind of standard. And thankfully, we got off very lightly in the end, to be completely honest. But other people who are perhaps a little bit older, or, you know, have underlying health conditions are getting absolutely screwed by this. So the fact that this guy is not taking it seriously at all and is inviting you into his home when he has symptoms is unbelievable. Now moving on to our next story. Entitled Mum dislikes my signature and demands I change it. I am a high school principal, and for better or worse, that means signing a lot of documents. I mean a lot. Report cards, IEPs, reports, requests, diplomas. The list is endless. Over the years, I've developed a signature that is easy to write, distinctive, and kind of hard to read. In other words, it's a scrawl. Well, recently, I sent home registration papers to a new parent, whose teenager will be entering the school in September. They included a cover letter signed by me. The next day, there was a message on our school's voicemail from the parents. Hi, I just received the registration package from the school, and I had a question about the letter that came with it. It says it's from the principal, but I can't read his signature. Now, note that under my signature is my name and title printed proudly in 12-point Times New Roman. The entitled mum continued, "Can someone get back to me about this?" My secretary called back, and the entitled mum demanded to speak to me personally. Hi there, principal speaking. How can I help you? Yeah, I received your letter with the registration package. I was a little confused because I couldn't read your signature. Confused? How? It was from me. I know, but I couldn't read your signature, so... At this point, I'm quietly reflecting. You know, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but I don't think it's okay to have a signature people can't read. I'm not sure I understand the concern. The letter is from me, on school letterhead, with my name and title clearly displayed. Yeah, but I can't read the signature. I think it needs to be clearer so that, you know, people can read it. I was then thoughtfully silent. I think you need to change it. Okay, well, thanks for calling. If you're having any difficulty with the registration papers themselves, you can talk to our guidance secretary. Well, are you going to fix it? Fix it? My signature? Yeah, I think you need to change it. Okay, thanks. If you need assistance, I'll pass your call to guidance. Bye now. Then I just hung up. A little while later, I received an email from the entitled mum with suggested examples of what she wanted my signature to be. I thoughtfully deleted it. Wait, so you're telling me she actually, you know, got a pen and paper out and was actively giving you some ideas, like, I don't know, graphic designer saying, yeah, here are some concepts of what could be a much better signature than your scrawly piece of trash. The whole point of a signature, it doesn't have to be amazing, does it? I know it's like to prove that it's you and to verify that it's you, but as a principal, signing loads of stuff, you don't want something that is like, takes time to do or is, you know, really long and formal. Just a little scrawl is fine. As OP said, his name is there. The school letterhead is a template. It's there. You know who it is. But no, this woman was so keen to make sure that he improved his signature that she probably spent a long time drawing out potential examples. I mean, it's so funny. What goes through her mind to say, you know what, I'm going to help this principal out. Let me get my pen and paper out and, you know, mock up some examples. Incredible scenes. And now moving on to our final story of today's episode. Another entitled parent doesn't tell me about the baby. I used to do some babysitting and nannying work as a teenager for extra cash. Most of my regulars were lovely, but you get the odd one. I was a very popular babysitter in the area and would happily work with very short notice. So I regularly got calls from parents who'd been given my number, needing a babysitter within a few hours. This meant that when I got a call from a parent of a classmate of one of my regulars' kids needing a babysitter that evening, it wasn't that surprising, and I happily accepted. The referral came from one of my favourite regulars, so I had no initial concerns. First red flag was they had a huge Rhodesian Ridgeback dog, which was rather protective of his house. But I'm good with dogs and we got on pretty well after a small introduction. Unexpected, but fine. Heads up guys, please warn people if a rather protective dog is wandering the property. Yeah, personally, I would just like to know if there was a large protective dog on a property I was going to for the first time. It would be nice to know. It was about 5 p.m. at this point, so I go through the usual asking for rules. Does their 9-year-old son need dinner, bedtime, etc.? Essentially, the answer was, we'll be back around 2 a.m, there are 0 rules. The kid will pick something from the cupboards and just let him have whatever he wants. No bedtime, no rules on what shows he could watch. The 9-year-old wanted to watch South Park, which is why I checked this rule repeatedly, but apparently it was all good for him to binge watch that all evening. It was a relatively uneventful evening. The kid was surprisingly well behaved, considering they had no boundaries, until the parents got home. The parents get back around 2 a.m, 9 hours after they left. Then, the wife went upstairs and came back down with a baby. I had not been informed that there was a baby upstairs the entire time I'd been there. They just shut it in its bedroom and not thought to tell me because it wouldn't need anything, so no big deal. What the heck? Even if they don't need anything. I mean, what baby sleeps through 9 hours without a peep? I genuinely heard nothing all night and was on alert knowing the dog was around, as I didn't 100% trust it. If there was an emergency, I wouldn't have known to get the baby out of the house. It turns out they didn't want to tell me because they were concerned I'd charge extra for 2 kids. I didn't. It was a flat rate up to 3 kids. I just took my money and left. I told my mum, who worked for the school their kids went to. There were other safeguarding issues it turns out, so this went on the reported list there. Not long after, they left the country with no warning. This isn't even the only time a parent has surprise dumped their baby on me. Apparently, I just look like I'll be cool with it. Again guys, I'm absolutely lost for words because, as OP says, what if there was a fire in the house? She would have got the kid out, herself out, maybe even the dog out, and they would have been on their way. All safe and sound? No, because a baby would be dead upstairs. How can you not? Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Look, this is probably like quite a dark thing to say, but ultimately at some point, I really wish that people like this kind of, get taught a lesson. Obviously, I don't want their baby to die, but a less severe form of punishment to wake themselves up and to understand and get some sort of common sense would not go amiss, because seriously, any small fire that, is upstairs or whatever, maybe in the baby's bed, anything could have happened. The baby could have, got caught up in its cot or sheet or whatever. Oh, it's unbelievable. It really, really is. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of r/EntitledParents. Really hope you have enjoyed it. A couple of incredibly dangerous stories in there, but it's to be expected, I guess. If you do want more like this, I'm not sure I do, but hey, if you're up for it, a couple of videos on screen for you to check out. If you are new to the channel as well, hit this button, subscribe with notifications on so you never miss one of my daily videos, and I will see you all tomorrow with a brand new one.